This is Triple Threat. I'm Mikhil, and joining me as always is my co-host William Azell. We've got a lot of interesting topics today. A lot of NFL. We've got two headlining stories regarding Arron Donalds and Khalil Mack. We'll get to the Teddy Bridgewater trade. I know you're really excited about that.
Being a Saints fan, I have to be. It's going to be exciting times in New Orleans this season.
I mean, I like that trade too. We'll get to that. We have a very fascinating story in the NBA. Two familiar foes, Draymond Green and LeBron James. And then we'll finish off with a very, very exciting breakout or bust. Two receivers in the NFL and two NBA rookies. But let's start off with that big NFL news. Khalil Mack was obviously a big name to watch out for throughout the entire NFL offseason. There were rumors of him maybe being re-signed by Oakland, being traded to Green Bay, being traded to the Jets. But he finally got traded to Chicago, and I really like it. I mean, now they could be a team to watch out for this season, a team to watch out for in the next couple of years because they're on the rise. They're very young. Kyle Fuller, Mitchell Trubisky, Jordan Howard, just to name a few of those guys. I really like it. I don't know about you.
So, I love this trade. I had the Bears my dark horse team before they signed Khalil Mack, and the Khalil Mack trade has pushed them over the end. They get Khalil Mack and a second-round pick this season for a first-round pick this season and a first-round pick next season and a sixth-round pick in 2019. So if the Bears do well and the Raiders do bad, which is the most likely scenario right now, the Raiders get a worse pick and the Bears get a better pick. These picks should be like 10 picks apart, so they wouldn't be that much difference. The Bears should get a good player in the second round. They don't really need a first round pick if they have a good second round pick. They'll have two second round picks, perfectly fine with me. They could trade up to get a first round pick if they wanted to. This team looks perfectly capable of succeeding this season. Mitch Trubisky, Allen Robinson, Taylor Gabriel, Anthony Miller, Kevin White, Jordan Howard, Tariq Cohen, Kyle Fuller, Adrian Amos, Roquan Smith, and Khalil Mack. All of those guys are under 25 except for Khalil Mack, and he's only 26. Mm-hmm. He's got a prime for 4 more years. They are a Super Bowl contender for the next 3 years. This season's a learning season, new coach, new system, all new receiving core. There are 4 receivers that they have. None of them played last season. The running backs are great running backs. They have a decent offensive line. Mitch Trubisky is going to be a lot better. He was throwing with less than Tom Brady uses, and he is notorious for having the worst receiving core in the league. He had less than Dak had last season. So Trubisky has a good year this season. This team blossoms into a good team. Next season, I have them winning the division and potentially making it to the Super Bowl. This team looks scarily good, scary young, and they all are blooming into better players. Adrian Amos bloomed in one of the best strong safeties in the league last season, and that was only his 3rd year. Jordan Howard could develop into a great running back. Tariq Cohen's obviously a great dual threat. He can receive, he can run, and he's great on special teams. Exciting team. Love the deal.
I mean, I don't know if the Bears are a playoff contender this year. No doubt they'll be fighting for it. They'll definitely be more competitive.
They can make wild card this season without a doubt.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, you've got teams like the Rams, you've got the Saints, who I have winning the division. And if that were the case, then that means Falcons, Panthers, or Bucks would have to get a wild card. I have Atlanta getting a wild card there. You've got other teams like the Eagles, defending Super Bowl champions. Green Bay, you can't count out Aaron Rodgers. So there are just so many teams in this NFC that are going to be really fighting for a Super Bowl ticket.
And they could finish first in their division, and they could finish last in their division. That's how strong it is. It's the best division right now in my eyes because it's more balanced than the NFC South. The NFC South is top heavy. They got 3 amazing teams. The NFC North has 2 really good teams, Vikings and either the Bears or the Packers. One of those will be really good this season. And the other 2 will be above average, the Lions and the Packers or the Bears. I like this division a lot. If they win it, they win it all. I think they'll get a wild card this season. I like this team. It's going to be a learning curve under their new coach, new system, new players, new faces, and new places. But here's an interesting thing, and this is my bold statement. If they did not trade up one spot to get Mitch Trubisky, they could have traded down from 3, to like 9, gotten more draft picks, drafted Deshaun Watson, maybe someone else. They'd have more draft capital certainly because they traded
Uh-huh.
up. They traded their draft capital away, and if they traded it back, they could have gotten more. They would have gotten more assets for the team. If they had Deshaun Watson right now, best team in the NFL, no questions asked. And in 5 years, this is a dynasty that people are going to be facing because Deshaun Watson throwing to Allen Robinson, who doesn't want to see that? Like that is an amazing team. And he did all of that without a running game because Lamar Miller and Deontay Foreman are not the best running backs. Jordan Howard and Tariq Cohen is an instant upgrade. I love this Bears team, and they made the wrong decision last year, but they got it right this season. Roquan Smith and Khalil Mack was the best offseason that any team's had. Bears won the offseason. They are a playoff contender. Mark my words.
Another top defensive player who had a breaking news headline in the past couple of days was Arron Donald. He re-signed with the LA Rams, 6 years, $135 million, $87 million guaranteed, and he was the highest paid defensive player in NFL history until Khalil Mack came along with that new contract, and we'll get into that in a second. But right now, I don't know about that Arron Donald resign. You've got so many star players on that team. Jared Goff, Ndamukong Suh, Marcus Peters, Aqib Talib. Marcus Peters is a free agent in 2020. I don't know if you re-sign Arron Donald and then give him all that money. I mean, you want to keep these star players for long term.
I mean, if you look at this team, they only signed Ndamukong Suh on a 1-year contract. They let him walk next summer. They can afford Khalil Mack. I mean, they can afford Arron Donald now. Arron Donald is one of the best defensive players in the league. He was the best last season. No one can put up the numbers that he puts up from a defensive tackle. He blocks. He can shed 3 tackles. That is a fact. He could do that. With Ndamukong Suh, he's a threat to be reckoned with. They shaved up some other contracts. They got $7 million more in cap with this contract because they adjusted some other contracts. You can't say that this team is a Super Bowl contender without Arron Donald. This team needs Arron Donald to succeed. This defense thrives on Arron Donald. Rely on Arron Donald. He's the youngest of the great defensive players. He's the youngest of Khalil Mack, J.J. Watt, Von Miller, Luke Kuechly. He's the youngest of that, and arguably the best of that. He has to be paid, and there's a reason why they paid him. They can afford to do this now. They let Ndamukong Suh walk next summer, and they can afford this team. They should be fine. They're following the Super Bowl model of the Seahawks and the Eagles, but it could come crashing down on them like the Seahawks. But at least they'll win a Super Bowl. Maybe this year, but definitely one time in the next 4 years. They're going to win a Super Bowl, and it's going to be arguably a success because they're trying to stamp their name on the team of LA. And if they win a Super Bowl before the Chargers do, they are definitely winning all the fans, and they're going to be the team of LA, and the Chargers might have to be forced to ship back down to San Diego.
That's very interesting that you bring up the 2 LA teams. Sports Illustrated actually had what was it now? The LA Chargers going 3rd in the AFC playoffs. So having that 3 seed winning the division. I mean that AFC, what is it? AFC West. That division is wide open.
It really is, but so is the NFC West because the Niners are a team on the rise. The Cardinals, if they stay
Yeah.
healthy, is a good team. The Seahawks they had a 97 season last year, and they kept a lot of their pieces. Richard Sherman was injured, so that's not the biggest of losses for them. They still have a decent team. Brandon Marshall could add a lot. Rashad Penny could add a lot. Russell Wilson's still arguably a top 5 quarterback, Hall of Fame quarterback in my eyes. What he's done has been phenomenal. For a 4th-round pick, they've got a lot of value for money. That's still a great conference, and you can't deny that. The NFC is really loaded, but the Rams are going to be pushing for Super Bowl, and this contract really signifies that. And Arron Donald will be playing hungry this season, over 10 sacks as always. With with the Ndamukong Suh, it could be 15. He's a monster. He can play interior. He can play defensive end. He needed the money, and if he didn't get the money, he could have signed with someone like the Bears or the Jets or the Packers, the Browns, someone with a lot of contracts, with a lot of salary cap. Still, the Niners have a lot of salary cap. He could have gone to the Niners, and that was not what the Rams want to happen. So they
Yeah.
had to get this contract done. This is their asset. This is who they drafted. This is their team. Arron Donald is the best player on this team, and you have to pay him like that.
The Rams are definitely going to be a contender this year, but Khalil Mack, not only did he get traded to a different team, he also got paid 6 years, $141 million. That broke Arron Donalds' record-breaking deal with LA. So now the Bears not only get Khalil Mack in the trade, they get him for another 6 years, and they keep him through his prime.
That's a great deal for the Bears. The Bears locked down one of the best defensive players in the league. He's on a better defense than he was with the Raiders, so he could have a more productive season. Akeem Hicks takes up a couple blocks on the offensive line, so it's going to allow Roquan Smith and Khalil Mack to have a fun in the linebacking core. And he can always move up to defensive end. He had that 15-sack season with 5 sacks in one game. He is a monster on a pretty terrible defense. He was still doing that. He was getting triple teamed and double teamed and having different people guard him, but they couldn't touch him. He was unstoppable. He could hit 20 sacks this season, and I wouldn't be surprised if he did. I see him leading the NFL in sacks this season. He is an absolute monster. This team looks scary good. I'm just excited to see how all this plays out.
Have you picked up the Bears defense in any of your leagues yet?
Oh, definitely. I love this team because I was initially thinking he would go to the Jets. And if you look at a team, they have a strong safety that's good, a good corner, a good pass rusher, and they add Khalil Mack. That's a great team. So I picked up the Jets defense. The Bears have a better defense than the Jets. Same quality of the young talent. I love this team. It's a much better defense. I like what they could do better. Their offense is a lot better. Khalil Mack makes this team exponentially better. This Bears defense was top 7 last season. They're top 3 this year.
All right, we'll see. But let's step away from all the money real quickly. Let's go to a guy who's not being paid as much. Teddy Bridgewater signed with the Jets on a 1-year deal this past NFL offseason and then was traded to New Orleans. And I'm a big fan of this trade. I'm pretty sure you're an even bigger fan of this trade because of that Saints team. But I mean, in New York, Teddy was having to fight for not only the starting slot, but he was also fighting for a backup slot. He was fighting with Sam Darnold for that starting role. Sam Darnold obviously got it. He'll start week 1. But he was fighting with Josh McCown for that backup role. And he's not guaranteed any time in New York. But now in New Orleans, when Drew Brees comes to the end of his career, Teddy Bridgewater is the next man up.
But is he really going to be the next man up? This is a dream trade in my situation because I love Teddy Bridgewater. I've admired him since he came out of the league from Louisville. He's admired the Saints offense. He studied it in college. And he has right to be. Sean Payton is an offensive guru. He loves the Saints. I love the Saints. This team looks great. But what does this mean? There's 2 ways this plays out. Either Drew Brees plays for 5 years, Teddy Bridgewater learns under him for this year, goes out, has a good career somewhere else. Or Brees retires earlier than expected because how long does Teddy really want to sit on the bench? Is he going to waste his prime years sitting under Drew Brees? All good quarterbacks have sat, but they've always come in relatively early because of an injury. So this is a Super Bowl push in my eyes. They signed a backup quarterback, which they certainly needed because if you look at a team like the Packers, they didn't have a backup. Playoff aspirations gone. If you look at a team like the Eagles, Carson Wentz gets injured. No, our Super Bowl chances are over. Nick Foles steps up. You got yourself a team again. So you need a good backup, and that's what the Saints are looking for this season. They can also get a quarterback in the future, but Teddy only wants to sit for 1 year. So I'd rather see Brees play next season than Teddy. I would love to see Teddy leading our offense, but I don't know if that's going to happen. He's on a cheap contract. It's a really expensive insurance policy because our 3rd-round picks have been pretty good. It's a pretty good trade. I like it. Teddy Bridgewater is going to be a better player because of it. The winner of this trade is definitely Teddy Bridgewater. He wins no matter what happens. Either he waits and learns under Drew Brees and is the Saints quarterback, or he goes somewhere else and still has a great career. But no matter what, Teddy Bridgewater will be an elite quarterback. And I think that's why he wins this trade. The Jets win it because they know who their starting quarterback is. There's no pressure on Sam Darnold now. So I think this is a win for everyone involved. This is a great trade.
I love how you always find a way to back up Drew Brees. But Teddy Bridgewater, you have to ignore the ACL tear. That's obviously what's scaring all the NFL teams. But when he's healthy, those 2 seasons he played with Minnesota, 28 touchdowns, split for 14 each season, and he had 6,100 150 total passing yards. So, I mean, Teddy Bridgewater, when he's healthy, he's a top 10 QB.
Yeah, he had that all-star appearance, but the thing is that Teddy. That's why the Saints didn't pick him up in the offseason. They could have signed him, but they didn't because one, the cap, and two, they didn't know how he was going to
Hmm.
recover. That's why the
Yeah.
Jets signed him on a 1-year deal. The Saints said, "Oh, he's actually back. He's healthy. We want him back. We need a backup." I don't think Taysom Hill was ready yet. Tom Savage was not great for the Texans once Watson got injured, and obviously JT Barrett's an undrafted rookie that they got cut. Um, Bridgewater is a great backup, and this is an insurance policy. No matter if Brees gets injured, it's still a Super Bowl winning roster with Teddy Bridgewater as a quarterback. I love this move. It's a costly insurance piece. There's two camps of the New England side. It's a great trade for the future, or it's a bad trade. It's 1 year, wasting cap, wasting picks. It's a costly insurance piece. I'm in the middle, but I love Teddy Bridgewater, and I'm excited to see how this goes.
All right, let's move on to the NBA. LeBron James has a new show on HBO Sports called The Shop, and he invited Draymond Green to talk with him. And here is what Draymond had to say. I think you should say that. I think you should believe that, and you should definitely let the world know that, said Green, referring to how James should let people know that he is the best player in the world. And we can both agree that LeBron is the best player currently in the NBA, no doubt, right?
Oh, 100%. Because humans need air to breathe. LeBron James is the best player in the NBA right now. It's just a fact. It's no longer an opinion. He is the best right now. If he is in the conversation of best number one of all time or number two of all time, there's no reason why he shouldn't be considered the greatest of all time. And he game respects game. Draymond has his off on the field spat with everyone because he's Draymond Green. That's what he
Mm-hmm.
does. But you have to respect somebody, and he respects LeBron James. You have to respect somebody for what they did. I'm a Hawks fan. Personally, the Warriors kind of bother me sometimes, but you have to respect that this is a great team. When they come to town and I watch Steph Curry play and I watch Kevin Durant play, I may not like what they do, but Steph Curry's game is incredible to watch. The way he shoots, the way he dribbles, the way he moves around the court, the way he changed basketball, the 3-point shot.
Yeah.
He changed the way the youth look at basketball. He changed the way the pros look at basketball. You have to respect that. LeBron James has done that and more. He's one of the greatest of all time. And if he gets a player like Kawhi Leonard, who's a perfect complement to him, who was a complimentary player in San Antonio, and the last time that we saw him healthy, big if that he comes back healthy. But if he does look good, he was beating the full strength Warriors by 20 points. And if he has LeBron James, they are an unstoppable team. So if you're Magic Johnson, you have to go out for him. Kawhi is a better Scottie Pippen. And you can't argue that. He is a better Scottie Pippen. LeBron
Okay.
James is a better Michael Jordan. That two combined, along with Lonzo Ball's pass first mentality, Kuzma and Ingram developing, this is a great team. And KCP obviously could do something. He's always a great role player. He can do some role jobs in LA. This team's exciting. If I'm Magic, I'm like, do everything you can to get Kawhi. In the middle of the season, right before the playoffs, if Kawhi looks good, the Raptors don't. The Raptors want to get some value out of him. Go and get Kawhi. Magic, this is what you have to do. Throw a first round pick. Throw a Brandon Ingram. Because Kawhi and LeBron, you don't need anyone else on the team. You win a championship. Because those two is a perfect combo.
I mean, after seeing what LeBron did in this past NBA season, in the playoffs specifically, 34 points per game, 9 assists, 9.1 rebounds, taking what may be the worst team in the Eastern Conference to the NBA Finals is magical. And I mean, Michael Jordan had arguably one of the best teams of all time. Scottie Pippen, Steve Kerr, Dennis Rodman. The list goes on. LeBron James had absolutely nobody except Kevin Love. You could argue Kevin Love, but that's it.
Kevin Love's an all-star, and that's it. I wouldn't say they're the worst roster in the Eastern Conference. I say they are the worst NBA Finals team we've seen this decade. They're the worst NBA Finals team that we've seen. LeBron carried them to the finals. That's an incredible feat. No matter if they got up, they did a great job getting to that point. What LeBron did has to be acknowledged, and that's why Draymond Green respects his game because you have to respect somebody that's gone to
Yeah.
8 straight finals, who's gone to 4 with the Cavs, who's taken that team to the finals. You have to respect that. Draymond Green might disagree with him on the court, but off the court, you have to respect him for what he's done.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why this really is not too surprising to me. You have to respect one of the greatest of all time to play in the NBA. So let's go to a breakout or bust. We've got a lot of interesting guys, as I mentioned. We'll start off in the NFL. A guy who you're really high about, Traquan Smith, breakout or bust, Will?
I think he's a breakout. What he's done so far in preseason has cemented himself as a great player, with Taysom Hill throwing to him. And Jeff Ireland is the best scout in the league. He had 4 All-Rookies last season, the Offensive Rookie of the Year, the Defensive Rookie of the Year. Great scout. He's done great things with the Saints. Amazing draft class every year. All of them are still starting for the team. He did a great job with Miami. He's an amazing scout. He's the best asset on this team. His preseason stats don't lie. 17 targets, 15 catches. That's an 87 completion percentage from Taysom Hill, who's known for his running. He's a dual threat. Whereas Breeze, that could have easily been at 90% because some of those were just bad throws and not Traquan Smith's fault. He made acrobatic catches. He's a perfect scheme fit. 189 yards with a touchdown. He looks phenomenal. And the last time we saw a Saints third-round pick with elbow tape on, his name was Alvin Kamara, and he won Offensive Rookie of the Year.
I mean, Traquan Smith, I have to agree with everything you just said. Traquan Smith is a breakout in my eyes. I mean, the Saints wide receiver game, Ted Ginn, Cameron Meredith, who else? Michael Thomas. What's the other guy?
Austin Carr.
Brandon Cooks, also former Saints wide receiver. I mean, Traquan Smith, he had a tremendous college career in 2017. 1,171 yards, 13 touchdowns in his last college season. And in preseason, he's shown flashes of promise. 4 receptions for 48 yards in his first game. And then in his second game, 3 receptions for 60 yards. So Traquan Smith can obviously be he could be a role player on this Saints offense this season.
And Breeze loves to spread out the ball. We've seen he has so many 1,000-yard receivers, but they always get shipped out. We've got Lance Moore, Kenny Stills. We've had Willie Snead, Brandon Cooks. All of them get shipped out. But he had 3 1,000-yard receivers. Brandon Cooks, Michael Thomas, Willie Snead. Willie Snead. You can't say that Traquan Smith is not better than Willie Snead. He's 1,000 times better than Willie Snead. Brandon Coleman had a successful career. And the thing that makes the Saints' offensive running game so strong is that their wide receivers could block. And Traquan Smith can block like no other receiver. He's done a great job with that in preseason, and that's his most undervalued asset, and the most undervalued asset on the Saints. Breakout this season.
All right, number 2, Josh Gordon. And then the question really isn't breakout or bust here. The question is whether he'll be his same self in 2013, or will he not live up to those expectations?
Okay, what are his expectations though? Is he expected to be the best receiver in the league, or is he expected to be the second best on the team? And that's what I think he's going to be. It's the second best on the team. Those are his expectations. His season in 2013 was the best receiving game I've ever seen in my lifetime. Sure, that hasn't been the longest time, but I've seen a lot of great receivers. And Josh Gordon's season was the best I've ever seen. And I respect that as a player. Almost 1,700 yards and 9 touchdowns with Brian Hoyer, the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, he feeds off receptions and he feeds off catches and touches. He gets the ball. But the thing is, he's tall, he's fast, he's physical. That's a mismatch for a number 1 cornerback. And he's going to be taking the second best because obviously Juice takes the best quarterback on the team, Jarvis Landry. So Josh Gordon is the second best corner. He has a much better quarterback throwing to him. He's on a much better team than he was in 2013. He's not on the drugs and on the alcohol. He's sober this season. Sober with Tyrod Taylor and Baker Mayfield, or drugs and alcohol with Brian Hoyer. He's going to have a much better season this season. It won't be a better season stat-wise, but he'll have a better personal season this year. And he should be a top 5 receiver in my eyes.
That's my problem. I mean, new team, new receivers, completely new Cleveland Browns. I mean, Baker Mayfield will be throwing to you probably later in the season. That'll be a brand new transition. Tyrod Taylor is a brand new quarterback who Josh Gordon has never played with. And he's going to have to split receptions with the guy who led the NFL in receptions last season in Jarvis Landry. So I just don't think Josh Gordon can live up to his expectations. And no doubt, I agree with you. What are his expectations? You're thinking of him being the second best receiver on the team, and that's what I'm thinking of him being. But most fans think, oh, wow, we have Josh Gordon. He can be that best receiver in the league that he was in 2013. That's what most fans are thinking. And for all the fans, it's not going to be that way.
And he's a fan favorite in Cleveland. But the thing is that Josh Gordon, he's an immense talent. And he won't be playing the first couple of weeks. And I think he's just going to do a good job this season. He's a consistent receiver. And I think it's got to be a breakout this season. Like, he's in a better situation than he was in 2013.
All right, we'll see. The NFL season is coming very soon. Let's move on to the NBA. Jalen from a Villanova guard, breakout or bust?
So Jalen Brunson, I don't really know if I could get breakout, because obviously he's on a lackluster team in the Mavericks. He's gonna have a split touches with Doncic, and sure, he was one of the better players in college. But has the Big East proven itself as a top conference of producing immense talent? No, it hasn't really proved itself as being that yet. And so I think that this is not a best fit for him, and that's why I don't think that he can succeed this season. So he's got to be a bust in my eyes. I would look at a college like the ACC or a big top 10 team like a Kentucky. They produce big players: Anthony Davis, DeMarcus Cousins, obviously, big Karl Anthony Towns. They produce. I want to look at a consistent team who's producing talent. Look at the ACC last season. The two best players in the draft last year were Donovan Mitchell and Jason Tatum. Where did they both play? The ACC. That's why the ACC produces talent. That's why Marvin Bagley is going to be a breakout this season. That's why Josh Okogie is a breakout this season. The players who perform well in the ACC will perform well in college, and that's what I look at. I don't know if the Big East has proven itself yet. That's a big yet. They could prove themselves as a top college of producing talent, but that hasn't happened just yet. I love the Big East. It's an exciting conference. I'm wearing the shirt right now of the Big East, but I don't know if they can really produce right now. That's why I say he's a bust.
I mean, I have to agree with you, not just because of the ACC, the Big East not producing, but Jalen Brunson, when I think of him, he does not look 6'3", and I'm sure most fans can agree with me. I'm sure they're giving him a couple extra inches. He looks maybe 6'1" to me, and no doubt, I'm not saying just because he's small, he won't be a good player in the NBA. I mean, you look at guys like Isaiah Thomas who have shown and proved people wrong. But Jalen Brunson, his game does not translate to the NBA. College game being the best post-up player in Villanova, that's not going to work out in the NBA. Jalen Brunson is not a consistent three-point shooter. Jalen Brunson will have to split touches, like you said, with Luka Doncic and starting point guard Dennis Smith Jr. So Jalen Brunson,
you can't forget Dirk.
Yeah, Dirk, but two different positions. Jalen Brunson won't be playing much this NBA season, so I have to go with bust for Jalen Brunson. All right, number 2, Zaire Smith.
Breakout. I mean, I like Texas Tech talents, obviously. Obviously, it's not a conference that have really produced talent in the NBA, but if you look at his college stats, they speak for himself. I mean, I really like what he's done as a player, obviously, and the position where he's going to a Philadelphia team that's produced talent recently, who's done what he's supposed to do, which is done all that he's asked to do, because all he's asked to do is to be a power forward of the future. JJ Redick's 34 now. He's 15 years younger. He gets to sit this season. He's not going to be pressured to. He doesn't have expectations to do well this season. So he's going to be able to sit, learn, be better, take over, be the small forward of the future. This team looks good going forward. Obviously, you could have so many combinations. He's versatile. He can play anywhere on the backcourt. I really like what he can do as a player. I think he's a breakout because he doesn't have pressure on him. He's in a good environment, a good coaching staff that can develop him into a good player. And he's young because they're looking at a team, the Sixers are, because they're not going to look at winning now. They're going to work winning in 5 years. There's always been their philosophy, winning later, not now. Because they have to wait for the Warriors dynasty to end. And when the Warriors dynasty ends, JJ Redick's going to be like 40, 38. He's not going to be able to produce. Zaire Smith will be 23, 24, entering his prime, being a great player, and being hopefully an all-star player at that point. And I think if he's on this team that has young players to mentor him and teach him like Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, he can learn from them and be a better player. Every player that sat and learned for a first season has been better. Ben Simmons, obviously, different situation because of injury, but still, he sat, learned, became a better player, Rookie of the Year. That's why I think, combined with the area he's in, what he's doing, his expectations, and his future, I say he is a all-star breakout.
See, that's exactly my problem. I don't think that 76ers team fits his skill set best. And Tiki Barber said it best. When you're drafted to a team that does not fit your skill set, it sucks. And that's exactly the case for Zaire Smith. I mean, he was originally drafted to the Suns with a 16th pick. And I thought, man, that's a good fit for them because they need a guy who can shift between the small forward shooting guard position because they don't have guys who are really consistent just yet. And Josh Jackson, Devin Booker is very consistent. He's going to have a bright future ahead of him, but you don't know if Mikhil Bridges will produce either. So I thought Zaire Smith was a great pick for Phoenix. But then when he was traded to Philadelphia, I was like, man, this guy is not going to see much playing time in his first season. Let's look at their starting lineup. Markelle Fultz at point guard. JJ Redick, who you mentioned, at shooting guard. Ben Simmons at small forward, Robert Covington or Dario Saric at power forward, and Joel Embiid at center. Zaire Smith won't even be the sixth man. He'll probably be the seventh or eighth man. And I think for a rookie at that talent, he should see more action than that.
But if you see, he doesn't have pressure on him. He doesn't have expectations. That's how he'll develop better. If you put a rookie into a high-pressure situation like Baker Mayfield, either you thrive on it or you crumble under the pressure like a Johnny Manziel. That's why I don't think he can do well this season. He will do well in the future because he gets to learn, sit, get some playing time, and that's why I think he'll be a breakout.
We'll see. That 76ers team is very good. That was a good breakout or bust. I like that one. All right, before we go, I need your help with something. So I was doing my NFL predictions. I got every single division winner. I set up the playoff brackets. But I got stuck at some point in the AFC playoffs and the NFC playoffs. I'll start in the AFC. I got stuck at the AFC Championship. Pittsburgh Steelers against Jacksonville Jaguars. So who do you think is going to win that?
So the Jags versus the Steelers. The Jags have had the Steelers number the last couple of seasons, and that's undeniable. They've beaten them 3 times. But the thing is that an immovable object was an unstoppable force. Who's won? It's usually the defense. But the Jags have lost 2 of their top receivers. I don't know if they're a better team now than they were then. I don't know if they can succeed. And if they're in Pittsburgh, I don't know if they can produce. I don't know if that can happen.
All right, so then we've got Pittsburgh going to Super Bowl 53. And in the NFC, that conference is so stacked. I couldn't get past the second round of the playoffs. So in the first game, I've got the LA Rams going against the Atlanta Falcons.
So why did the Falcons win it last year? Because they had 3 fumbles on special teams from Pharaoh Cooper, who was the best special teams player in the league last season. Is that going to happen again? No. The Rams are better. They're hungrier. They're going to win. They're in the Coliseum because there's no way that the Rams will have a better record than the Falcons. They coast past the Falcons.
All right, second game, we've got New Orleans against Philly, and I'm pretty sure you're going with your Saints on that one.
I mean, I'd be rude not to. I say the Saints win it. They have a better positional lead. Their team's young and they're getting better, so they win.
All right, so then we have LA against New Orleans in the NFC Championship. Who are you going there?
These teams are so evenly matched, and it'll be probably the best game of the season. I can tell you that for sure. 2 offensive-minded coaches, 2 of the best coaches in the league, 2 exciting offenses, 2 exciting defenses, both extremely young teams. It's whoever has home field advantage, and for me that'd be the Saints because my team. But for you, I probably think that the Rams have home field advantage. Mm-hmm. The Rams don't really have an atmosphere yet, but if they could get all the LA fan base by winning a lot of games over the Chargers, obviously they could have a pretty intimidating atmosphere.
All right, then in Super Bowl 53, real quickly, we have Steelers against the LA Rams. Who are you going with there?
The Steelers snuck their way into the Super Bowl. Their defense is so weak. I think Rams take it. Super Bowl 53 champion in Atlanta, Georgia.
All right, looks like we've got the Rams winning Super Bowl 53. The NFL season starts on Thursday, but we'll see you Monday. Peace.